Hey everybody, your Friendly Math Tutor here with video 1 of our SAT one-sheet breakdown series. The PDF files of both the one-sheet and the problems for today's videos are, you can download them below. Also make sure to subscribe to our channel and definitely check out our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts where we'll be posting videos all related to our SAT one-sheet. All right, so let us dive into today's topics on the one sheet. All right, let's take a look at today's main focus, which is going to be part 1 strategies for the SAT. So if we take a look, we've got 3 main strategies here. We've got plug in the answer choices, pick your own values, and skimming the text. So let's first take a look at plug in the answer choices. So how it works, you substitute each answer choice into the problem and you stop when you find the choice that works. You only have to check the first 3 because if the first 3 don't work, then the fourth one certainly will be the answer. A couple of different ways. We can use this for solving any equations that have numerical answer choices because we can just plug the answers into the equation. It depends on the type of problem. Typically for linear equations, quadratic equations, and systems, you might want to just solve it normally because that might be quicker. And for radical equations, rational equations, and inequalities, this strategy can save time. The key to all the strategies that we talk about today is that there is no set way that's better. It depends on your personal preference. I think it's important that you both know like the school way to solve the problem as well as using this strategy so that on each problem, each case-by-case basis, you can choose the way that saves the most time and ultimately you'll earn the highest possible score by doing that. It's definitely a mixture though. Some of the problems you'll solve just again the normal kind of way you learned in school, and some of the problems you're going to solve using the shortcut. All right, so it is a shortcut if it will save time. So let's take a look at how that works for this problem. So it says, what is the solution set for the equation above? So instead of solving this equation, where we would have to square both sides, and that could take a while, I'm going to just check the answer choices. And I'm also going to do it in a way where I can easily check some answer choices without even plugging it into the whole thing. So the first way to see that is the answer choice 3. I can easily see that 3 minus 6 is a negative number. So there is no way that a negative number is going to equal the square root of a number divided by 2 because the square root of every number is positive and dividing that by 2 is positive. So 3 automatically doesn't work. And likewise, 9 over 2 isn't going to work either because 9 over 2 is like 4.5. Minus 6 is also a negative number. So when I do the square root of 2 times 9 over 2, there's no way that they can be equal because the right side will be positive and the left side will be negative. So then I can get rid of the ones with 9 over 2 in it. So the answer choice must be 8. You can certainly plug 8 in to see, but as it says over here, we don't have to worry about that because we know it doesn't work for 3 of the answer choices. So the 4th answer choice must be the answer. So this is a way to check our answer choices in a strategic way instead of solving it the normal way, which in this case I think would be quicker to just check our answer choices. All right, let's take a look at the other example of a problem here that we could use this for. So again, let's talk about, you might want to do this the normal way, which would be the elimination method. All right, you got a system of equations. You could just use the elimination method, maybe multiply the bottom equation by 5, add the equations together. But I'm going to show you how in this case, it might even be faster to do the checking the answers. Normally, I wouldn't say so, but because this bottom equation, the way it's negative x minus y equals 0, that means when I substitute in my answer, I have to get 0. So I think we can clearly see that's not going to work for A or D, because we would need the numbers to be like the same in order to get 0. And then if you try both of these, they both will give you 0. So that means we're going to have to plug them into the first equation, but we only need to check one of them. So let's check this one. So I'm going to do 5 times negative 4 minus 4 times 4 is equal to 36. This is negative 20 minus 16. Whoops. I don't know why I wrote 46. Negative 20 minus 16 is equal to 36, and that's not true. This is negative 36, does not equal 36. So that answer choice is wrong. So the answer choice C must work. Now, you might want to do this using the elimination method, and that's totally fine too. There is not a set way to do it. If you either forget the elimination method or you just want to check your answers, this could be a nice alternative for that. Okay, so that is how we can use plug in the answer choices. So let's head back to our sheet here, and now let's look at the idea of pick your own values. So in pick your own values, you quite literally just pick your own values. You choose values for the problem that would make it easier than having to deal with variables. And then it works really well with problems with multiple variables, or just word problems here that have variables, or problems that ask for equivalent expression. So we'll get to that in example 2. So here we've got Kevin has collected M coins. All right. So Kevin has collected M coins. But instead of it being M coins, let's say I just pick a value. So I'm going to say that Kevin has 12 coins. So we are deciding in this problem that M equals 12. So Ellie has collected half as many. Well, it's a lot easier to now think of half as many because half of 12 is just 6. All right, so since we picked a value, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to solve the problem. But so Ellie has collected half as many as Kevin, but 5 more than Robert. So that means Robert has collected 1 coin because Ellie has collected, just 1 coin. Ellie has collected 5 more than Robert. Now the question says, in terms of M, how many has Robert collected? So since we chose 12 for M, we just have to plug in 12 to the answers, and the one that gives us 1, the answer that we got for Robert, is the correct answer. For this one, you do have to check every answer. You need to eliminate 3 and make sure that only 1 works, because sometimes the value that you chose could give you more than 1 answer. And in that case, you would have to choose a new value. But I think we're good here. Because 2 times 12 minus 5 is definitely not 1. 12 divided by 2 plus 5 is not 1. 2 times 12 plus 5 is not 1. But 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. All right, so just to recap here, I just chose 12. I wanted to pick an even number so I could easily take half of it, and I picked a little bit of a bigger number so that I could also do 5 more for Robert. You could have picked 14, 16, really any even number would have worked out well. You would have got a different value for Robert, but by plugging your value in, you would have gotten the value that you got for Robert. So you just pick values to make the problem a little bit easier, because for a lot of us, it's easier to work with numbers than it is with variables. Let's take another look at a problem where picking your own values could be really helpful. So here in example 2 for picking your own values, I have an expression. It says, here's a good one. Equivalent expression or equivalent form is a time, it doesn't mean that you should use it, it's just a time where it would work. And in this one, I think it can really save time. So what happens with equivalent expressions, or something that has equivalent form, is if you pick your own value for the variable, I'm going to choose 0 in this case, then the correct answer should give us the same value. So if I substitute in 0 into the expression, that means this part goes away and this part goes away. So I'm going to end up with just negative 3.5 squared minus negative 4.1. You can use a calculator for this. You will end up getting 16.35. So now, when I plug in 0 to all my answers, the answer that also gives me 16.35 must be an equivalent expression. We just got to watch out for multiple answers giving you that value. But it doesn't happen here, because since I chose 0, all of the ones with variables just disappear. So you can see that the answers is always just to each one is the constant, and the only one that has a constant of 16.35 is D. All right, so again, this is just a nice alternative to actually squaring this out, distributing the negative and combining like terms, which obviously would also give you D. And some of you might think, well, that's just easier. But I find in a problem like this, rather than doing those several steps of algebra, if I just substitute in 0, I can get my answer really, really quickly. Okay, so that is how pick your own values works. Now, let's head back to our main page and take a look at skimming the text. This is our last strategy. So this one is really skimming the text as just like a basic strategy. It's just saying don't read the whole problem, just get the information from the problem that's relevant. It's actually something that you would probably do a lot. I mean, I'm no expert in this at all, but it's something you would probably do a lot on the reading section, where you're not going to read every word. You're going to go back and only find the things that you think is necessary. So that can really apply on some wordy SAT problems. All right. So let's take a look at this one. This is a really good type of problem. So instead of reading all this and trying to get an idea of what's going on with Kagan and his coin collection, let's just notice that we've got an equation. And they want to know, I'm going to skip right to the question, what does it mean that 5, 0 is a solution? So let's remember, 5 represents the x and 0 represents the y. All I need to do is go into the problem and figure out, well, what does x represent, or what is it kind of measured in? All right. So it says y is the dollar amount. So y is the dollar amount left after x weekly withdrawals. So x is measured in weeks and y is measured in dollars. So we're looking for an answer that's talking about 5 weeks and $0. Well, Kagan's coin collection will be empty after 5 weeks. Well, at least it mentions 5 weeks, and empty sounds like $0. But let's just check the other ones. Kagan withdraws $5. Well, 5 going with dollars doesn't make any sense, because 5 should be with weeks because X is measured in weeks. So that doesn't make any sense. $5 again doesn't make any sense. And $4, well, I don't even know where 4 would be coming from because there's no 4 in the pair. They do have 5 weeks, right? But again, not $4. It should be $0. So our hunch that A was the answer made sense. And again, if you're doing this problem and you just know it's A, then choose A and move on. For this video, I want to go over all of the answer choices, just so that we, get an idea of why certain answers don't work also. All right, so we don't have to read the whole problem and learn about Kagan's coin collection. All we have to do is just know what X represents and what Y represents, and we can kind of figure out the problem from there. All right, let's take a look at our other example for skimming the text. So again, this strategy works well for data problems with a lot of words. So any wordy problems, there might be some problems where you have to read the whole problem, but try to do it without, if you can. So one good way to do that is just read the question first. So which of the following is best interpretation of the y-intercept? All right. Well, the y-intercept in general is always when the x is 0. So the y-intercept is when x is 0. So we're going to 0 weeks spent on the bestseller list. And then the y-intercept will be the number of copies sold. So just by looking at the diagram, I can figure out that the y-intercept is going to be based off of the number of copies sold when there's 0 weeks spent on the bestseller list. All right, so if we go and read our answers, the predicted number of copies sold for a book that has not been on the bestseller list. Well, that looks pretty good. The predicted number of weeks spent, well, it isn't going to be the predicted number of weeks spent because we talked about the Y value is the number of copies sold, so that doesn't work. The predicted increase in number of copies sold for each additional, that looks like more of a slope concept, not y-intercept. And again, another predicted increase, so another slope concept. So really the A is again the one that makes the most sense. The predicted number of copies sold for a book that has not been, that represents 0 weeks on the bestseller list. All right, so we can analyze these problems and get them without reading the entire problem, kind of just going for the question, like what it says, and then in a data problem, our chart is going to give us way more information than all the words that they're talking about. All right, so let's kind of just jump back real quick. So again, our 3 strategies: plug in the answer choices. So use the 4 answer choices, plug in 3 of them, and at most 3. When you get one that works, you're done. When you pick your own values, you will have to check all 4 answer choices, because every once in a while, based off the values you pick, there might be 2 answers that work. So you have to pick new values to do that. Stay away from, I pick 0 on one of these, but stay away from 0 if the problem forces you to say divide by 0. But 0 and 1 are usually pretty easy values to start with, and then kind of go from there. And then skimming the text is essentially just don't read the whole problem at first. Read the question, see if you can figure out what's going on by just reading the question or going back and just searching for specific information. Sometimes that doesn't work, and unfortunately you do have to read the whole question and know everything that they're talking about, but most of the time that's not the case. All right, so I hope you found today's video on just the strategies part of our one sheet. I hope you found that helpful. Make sure to check out the other videos where we break down the rest of the one sheet, all the other parts. There's going to be, again, 9 total videos. And please, again, subscribe to our channel. Check out our Facebook, our Instagram, and TikTok, where you'll see other videos with other SAT stuff and surrounding this SAT one sheet. All right?